afternoon, honorable adjudicators, debaters, and spectators. Welcome to the grand final round of 2021 Maitreyawira English Debating Championship. The motion for today's debate is This House Will Kill the Dragon. The chair adjudicator for this round is Kak Judah Purwanto, accompanied by Kak Arisanto Made, Kak Daniel Wiyarta Tenggara, Kak Eugenia Leoneta, and Kak Firmansyah Walena. The governance of the House is from Satu Sidoarjo B, with Firza as the Prime Minister, Khansa as the Deputy Prime Minister, and Gustav as the Government Whip. The reply speech will be delivered by Khansa. And the opposition of the House is from Maitreyawira A, with Fiona as the Leader of Opposition, Grace as the Deputy Leader of Opposition, and Gladys as the Opposition Whip. The reply speech will be delivered by Grace. To open the case of government team, please welcome the Prime Minister, Firza. To the Prime Minister, time is yours.
Sorry, before we start, can I just check that all the judges are here? So Santo, can I check if you're here?
Yes, I'm here.
Indy, are you here? Daniel?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, cool. Daniel?
Yeah, I'm here.
Leon? Cool. Okay, yeah, we can start. Thanks. Prime Minister, you can start your speech.
All right. Wait. Is this audible? Clear and clear, right?
Yeah, just make sure that the microphone is near you at all times.
So starting my speech at 3, 2, 1. So ladies and gentlemen, status quo, we're having a medium-sized village. Like there is, and in that village, there is a dragon wars over reigning on over that village. We say that this is something that shouldn't keep going on, because we will kill people, we sacrifice people to die at the end of the day, and moreover they cannot feel the beauty of this world because they die actually at the end of the day. Therefore our stance is to kill the dragon, because it is very immoral if we keep this dragon alive, and moreover in the context, the pain is so bad in the process of the feasting. And our goal is, and by that our goal is to create a better life for all people, for these people. And by we have a simple models. Firstly, we will kill the dragon with this with the scientist technology, and secondly, we know that if we were immortal, so then we would provide a good life in this world as best as we could. Therefore we are supporting the motion. Moving to my first argument, why is it justified for us to kill the dragon? First, I thought that people immorality if we kill people. I thought that people should be people life should be protected, right? Since it's a value of a humanity that we should fulfill. For example, in current status quo, we try to help people with sickness in order for them to stay alive and etc. Same with these motions. Yeah, if we are we actually have to appreciating the people lives. How we do that? We should prevent people to be killed, especially we also support humanity. At the moment we are against super painful death that opposition actually allow in this debate. For example, we didn't allow people to be tortured by other people, right? Because it's very painful at the end of the day. They can feel so much pain in this and in this scenario. You're being feasted, you're being eaten by the dragon, and it will be very very painful at the end of the day. It means we are sacrificed. It's a big problem that hence it's very justified for us to kill the dragon, because at the end we will protect life, we will protect it, we will protect the people to be not tortured. I think we are being we're so justified to kill the dragon, because they're being like treated us like what's the example, like a people fear if they were the one that being sacrificed. Like sometimes it creates a mental damage to the people in that village, because they will get tortured, and they will be dead, they will be killed. And this is some like the parallel examples, like we are African people who tried to fight the colonialism. We tried, in this case we are trying to fighting the dragon that are oppressing our lives to be not peaceful at the end of the day. And secondly, why is going to why is immortality is not a curse but is something that we actually have to appreciate at the end of the day. Firstly, immortality is actually what we want in current status quo, especially for non-immortal being. Why is because immortal being is immortality is actually what we want in for the non-immortal being. Why is because that life is now is very beautiful, you can do whatever you want because there is a technology that supported you, maybe, or because there is a much more amount of progressivity in the minority. There are peace, there are no possibly no war will not occur, will they will not be afraid again. The like the progress, like supporting LGBT feminist movement, there is no judgment. We are starting to move at the society that are more better at the end of the day. And secondly, family right now are also very open-minded to the children, because right now like parents are educated to be so not oppressing the or be a tiger and etc. And so the society will be better, and there will be no regret or second guessing in the in the in our side of the house. And thirdly, maybe you are poor, for example. Yeah, there is I think there is a subsidy, or there is a mechanism from the government for us to opt out from that problem. Like there are the free coupons, there are eating coupons and etc. There are and also maybe if you're immortal and you're being so so bored, there are also entertainment. So there is no harm if we are actually being an immortal being. Moving to my second argument, how we are able to make people evaluate in this in our world. We acknowledge human is greedy, right? Human makes mistake and etc. Sometimes it's better under our side, because there will be an evaluations why it is likely, because there is no way for you to get that, for like some people in a village like being so immortal. So it hence it's creating an incentive for other people to actually evaluate in terms of preserving the nature. For example, the uh, company maybe will start to use eco-friendly technology because of environment problem and many problem that maybe could be could uh, evaluated at the end of the day, because you cannot die again. Yeah, you cannot opt out from that, and people will start to force we will force people to actually evaluate uh their work comparatively under the opposition side of the house. Actually you'll just firstly uh let these people to die, let people to be killed and etc. And there will be no evaluations in their side of the house, right? Because they are just sticking there the fact that they're letting these people to just get killed is it means the attitude in them is there will be no the intensive for them to evaluate at the end of the day, to preserve nature at the end of the day. And thus it is perfectly better at the end of the day for us, because just where we are protecting human life, where immortality is good. And second, where we actually make uh practical benefits at the end of the day. So proud to propose.
The Prime Minister spent 7 minutes and 9 seconds. To open the case of the opposition team, please welcome the Leader of Opposition, Fiona. To the Leader of Opposition, the time is yours.
1 second, I'm gonna set up my papers for a bit.
Hi, everyone. Can we just wait for a second? One of the judges got disconnected. We'll just wait until they come back. Yeah. Indy got disconnected. Oh,
I'm back.
okay, cool. Yeah. Elo, you can start.
Okay, am I audible? Is it clear?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, one rebuttal before I go into my official speech. Okay, so first they said that the existence of the dragon itself is going to oppress the whole town, right? And what we are saying is that the dragon existence is not at all to oppress, ladies and gentlemen. It is instead a mutual relationship between the dragon and also the village, the people in the villagers, ladies and gentlemen. So what we say, why are we saying that it is a mutual relationship, right? First of all, for people that will have we say that if people are going, people that want to die, meaning that it's going to be the end of their life, we say that this dragon is going to bring them a sort of relief, ladies and gentlemen. And secondly, is that if there are people who are going to be punished, for example, criminals, right? We say that they are deserving of this death. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we agree with the other side of the house that humanity value is important, right? But we're not saying that killing is justified, ladies and gentlemen. But notice that in this debate, no, thank you. In this debate itself, we're talking about immortality, right? Meaning that the situation is different and we have to make a different kind of decision, right? So first of all, ladies and gentlemen, notice that the curses of the immortality itself do not exist yet, right? And yet the item to kill or threaten the dragon itself has already existed, right? Meaning that even if the dragon become an active threat, we already hold something that can bring disadvantages to these dragons. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we believe there is already we believe there is also an urgency for to do this, ladies and gentlemen, because by not killing the dragon itself, people are going to try to do good in their life, right, ladies and gentlemen? Because of a certain things that I will explain later on in my arguments. So first, ladies and gentlemen, we want them to explain to us and prove to us why exactly by killing the dragon, people would still cherish their own life, ladies and gentlemen. So first of all, I would like to talk about immortality itself. So, immortality itself inherently seems good, right? But we say it is not favorable at all. Because imagine living forever and not having a way to die at all, ladies and gentlemen. Life goes on and on without an end, ladies and gentlemen. And people are going to lose the meaning of life at the end of the day. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let's take an example, a logic explanation, right? For example, we all know that the more something exists, the less its value is going to be, right? Because everyone have it, right? Just like how precious stones and normal stones are different, have a certain distinction, right? For example, no, thank you. People think that precious stones are much more precious, right? Why exactly? Because it is something that is limited, right? While normal stones is everywhere. You can even find them on the road, ladies and gentlemen. So that is same with life, right? If life is something that never ends, it will lose its value at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen. So what this means is that life values are going to be less apparent or non-existent in their side of house, ladies and gentlemen. Because why? First of all, why do we cherish life so much, right? Because it is connected to time. It is linked to time, and our time is tick-tocking with us, not knowing when it will end, right? So this leads us to us believing that life should be cherished. We want to cherish our life because there's a lot of things that we want to do, yet we don't know when. there's a lot of things that we want to do, yet we do not know when our life will end one day, right? Furthermore, ladies and gentlemen, for us to have these ideas of what exactly we want to do, purpose of life, what I'm trying to say here, we have goals and dreams exactly because we do not have an assurance of when our life will even end, right, ladies and gentlemen? Because why do we even have these ideas in the very beginning? For example, in my life itself, I want to be able to travel the whole world, right? For example, and why do we have these ideas and wish, ladies and gentlemen? Because we have a certain pressure, ladies and gentlemen. Human works better under pressure, right? For example, when you have a school assignment, right, we want to do it because there is a pressure to do good at school and pressure of deadline itself. And these pressure would come from that, and these pressure, right, is going to come from their time, because their time is constantly ticking or draining off. And if immortality is ensured, ladies and gentlemen, we say that life is going to be very stagnant. We wouldn't try to live our life to the fullest, ladies and gentlemen, because what we're going to do is we're going to procrastinate over and over because we think we have unlimited time. So why not wait until I feel like doing it? So why not wait until we have the inspiration and motivation to do something? This is exactly why we need to not kill the dragon, right? And secondly, I would like to talk about the tendency or the nature of human fearing death itself, right? So we believe in our life as a human, we are inherently very much afraid of the idea of death itself, right? Because we do not really want to die. Who would want to die right now, ladies and gentlemen? We are simply scared of the idea if one day when we're on the road going to school or work, for example, we suddenly got into a car crash and die, and all of our effort in surviving is wasted. And this is what's happening in the status quo right now, right? We are just scared of the idea of death itself. That's why we try to cherish our life so much. So what will happen, right, if the dragon we attempt to kill this dragon that exists in the small town, right? We say that people wouldn't have this fear of death anymore because first of all, they are already immortal. They're already immortal, right? Meaning that they wouldn't die, and the only way for them to die is this dragon itself. So if the dragon suddenly become non-existent, disappear, dead, then people wouldn't even be afraid of death anymore. This will lead them to do everything that they want, whatever they want. For example, they would try to kill people. They would try to become a pedophile. They would do honestly whatever they want because they wouldn't die anyways, right? They can just do whatever they want. There is not a single threat in their life anymore, ladies and gentlemen. While what we see in the status quo right now is that we are scared of doing certain crimes because we know that we don't want to do a certain thing because we know we're going to be punished by it, right? Yet if we don't have this dragon, there is no apparent punishment that's going to exist in this world, right? And moreover, ladies and gentlemen, we say that relationship between human is going to be bland because nobody is going to be scared of their family or friends dying at all, right? And this is one of the reasons that's made us want to not kill the dragon in the very first place. So that is all from me. I proudly oppose.
The leader of opposition spent 7 minutes and 29 seconds. To continue the case of the government team, please welcome the Deputy Prime Minister. Khansa, to the Minister, time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. Wait. Okay. Going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Suffering that is created in the opposition side are suffering that are going to be eternal. Even when you are not actually worrying over, the death in itself, but you are also still worrying on how you are going to lose your family members at the end of the day, because somehow it could be picked by someone that are going to be sacrificed in 100 amounts towards the dragons in itself, right? That's why we have the justifications to actually protecting more lives, to actually protecting the essence of humanity in itself, in order for us to keep these people's life, because life of people are somehow valuable. Whether or not they were actually immortal is a different question. That's why the fundamental questions in here are to keeping the lives that are valuable, instead of us giving like somehow a meaningless life, because because somehow they're just haunting by the dead, that if they are going to that if their life is going to be that is the meaningfulness of life are going to be threatened by the ideas of how they are going to end their life towards the dragon in itself. Several questions coming from the opposition side of the house. Firstly, they were actually trying to say that, well, punishment is not going to be exist and so on, because punishment is only exclusive through how we are going to throw lives towards the dragon in itself. We do think that this is not exclusive, because somehow we are still having like the ideas of CGS, or we are still having the ideas of punishment coming from the social judgment at the end of the days. Even we do think that the moment you are only going to throw their lives into the dragon in itself, it never going to create a deterrence effect. It especially is going to just create somehow an escaping mechanisms for them, instead of them being responsible and doing a retributions towards it. They are never going to make they are never going to create a repairment from the mistake that they actually made. That's why we think that the idea of how mistakes need to be punished will never going to be exclusive in their side of the house. But also, the moment they were actually saying that, there is a mutual relationship in it, we do think that this is a problematic cases, because somehow if it's actually mutual, then you are going to be benefited each other. Meanwhile, it is not, because somehow you are need to actually the moment you want to die, then you need to actually you need to actually through the tortures and suffer and things like that. And what we actually questions as government teams towards the oppositions that's not been answered is actually why they are justified to die with the whole suffering and tortures at the end of the day, right? Because somehow these kinds of suffering and tortures are some things that are make even the lives in itself are somehow unvaluable, that they are not that they could not do the productive things in their life, because they were only going to actually randomly like thinking if they are the one that are going to be sacrificed next year or next month, things like that. That's why we do think that that's why it's actually justified for us to kill the dragons in itself that have been reigning the village at the end of the day, right? But moving on to my rebuttals, the moment they were saying that the urgency of it is that the moment peoples are actually going to be immortal, people are not trying to do a good things, that peoples are going to just procrastinate, things like that. We do think that the moments they were saying procrastinate, we question first why some things like procrastinate would be like would going to give harm towards the others. What is the harm from it? Why people could not do that? That's like the right of people on how they want to value their life at the end of the day, right? But even when this actually could be happen, we still going to give like the idea of pragmatisms. And this is the reasons why people are still want to evaluate themselves. People are still want to get a prosperous life. That's why they want to maintaining. That's why they want to actually maintaining their positions. That's why the idea of procrastination is also not going to be happen in our side of the house. But the reasons why actually people are trying to do a good things is not only just because you are going to be like. It's not only just because you are going to be that, because that somehow are just same as you are actually praying, because you are worried if you if you are going to that, then you are going to face like the heaven and hell, things like that. Meanwhile if we actually look into this, people are not just only driven by that to do a good things. They are still trying to do a good things because they like the other people to appreciate them, that they don't want to go to jail, that they don't want to have some kind of social judgment punishment. That's why the intentions of them could not be oversimplified by just one cases that they are going to be that they do a good thing because they actually worried over that and things. The reasons why and moving on to my second rebuttals, the moment they are saying that immortality will not have any kind of value, things like that, we do think that this could be like we do think that this is what we are questioning since the very first place, that the one that are not going to have this value are the opposition side, since lives are just thrown away like that, like it's not even it's even like just sacrifice them. It's okay to lose your family members in order for us to maintaining our livelihood at the end of the day, and even though it's actually going to true suffer, it's some things that are fine. Meanwhile, if we are talking about lives in real life, we are still, even when you were a prisoners, even when you were terrorists, even when you were someone that do rape, things like that, you still have the right to be protected on, that you still have a human right to be fulfilled on by the CGS, that they are still going to feed you in any way, that they are still going to give the fundamental basic need of you at the end of the day, right? This is what we want oppositions to actually understand, why life is somehow are really appreciable and it's really meaningful, and the reasons why they could and the idea of throwing away life is just going to create unnecessary meaningful life at the end of the day. Therefore, we are about to propose.
The Deputy Prime Minister spent 7 minutes and 23 seconds. To continue the case of the opposition team, please welcome the Deputy Leader of Opposition, Grace. To the Deputy Leader of Opposition, time is yours.
Hello, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. Before I start, I apologize if I might say anything that might be offensive to some people. Please note that it was never part of my intention, and I'll continue to my speech. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that the biggest issue coming from the government side of the house is that they think that the town people is going to throw any kind of human towards this dragon itself, right? Exactly because there are a system that we created, right, to make sure that we don't throw any kind of human, or we don't just feed the people to the dragon, right? We do have systems to make sure whether or not someone qualifies to get eaten by the dragon, right? And we have two metrics to see whether or not these people can be fed to the dragon. One, if they actually qualify for a death punishment in the real world, and secondly, if it is their own decision to be fed, right? We think that those are the only two reasons that a person can be fed to the dragon. Firstly, they worry about us losing. They worry about people losing their family members and things like that, right? So I've mentioned before how there are systems to make sure whether or not you actually get fed to the dragon. We don't just feed anyone to the dragon. We do have systems to create, right? This is why the deterrence effect will only happen in our side of the house, because humans in itself fear death, right? Human needs to have a reason for them to keep going as a human, right? Exactly because there is death, why they should work even harder. They should value their life. They should cherish the time while that they still have, right? They mentioned about how the criminal justice system in their side of the house is still existent, and the deterrence effect will also be there. But what they are lacking, right, ladies and gentlemen, is the existence of this death punishment. Why is this death punishment so important? Is that there is some problematic people in the society that needs to get removed as soon as possible, right? There are people who, for example, kill other people, and for example, does any kind of that defies this. No, thank you. That defies the humanity, right? If it harms the existence of humanity, we think that that person should get the death punishment, and that is what they're lacking in their side of the house. They mentioned about how our side of the house doesn't value life, right? We say this is what's going to happen exactly in their side of the house, simply because the life there is unlimited, right? People have no reason to see life as something that is important when it is everywhere, right? Why is there something so precious in our life? For example, say precious stones, right? Why are they different from regular stones in the street? Exactly because they are rare, and it is something that will run out in the future, right? This is why exactly the value of life needs to be maintained in the status quo right now, because if there is no value to life, humans have no reason to, no thank you, humans have no reason to treat each other kindly, and there is no need to development, which is what I'm going to explain more in my arguments. In this debate, I have two arguments on first, how does not killing the dragon creates a deterrent effect to the society, and secondly, why immortality in itself is not a good thing. Firstly, how does not killing the dragon creates a deterrent effect to the society? We know that society now can live in harmony exactly because of the existence of life and death. How humans' life is limited and it has an end. People fear death, and this is why humans value life, right? Because they don't want to die. That's why their life is there, so that they can live to the fullest and actually make full use of their life and contribute a lot more to the society, right? Their side lacks this fear. Humans in their world would have exactly no reason to fear anything, because no matter what they're going to do, they're not going to die, right? Even if they're going to go to prison, we believe that this is not a strong enough fear to actually deter humans from doing these crimes. Human needs to have an urgency to actually treat each other kindly. They need a reason to actually treat their families nicely, to speak kindly with other people, help other people, right? All of this, no thank you, all of this exists because of the reason why a human's life is limited, right? Because humans will die in the future, and that's why they need to treat each other kindly, because you're not going to be able to do that once you die, right? Moving on, why is immortality is such a bad thing? Firstly, we need to have the stability that we need to maintain the stability in the status quo. What kind of stability? We see two kinds of stability that we need to have. Firstly, on the physical stability of the town itself, and secondly, the social stability of the people, right? What's the physical stability? Knowing that the people there living immortal, right, ladies and gentlemen, we would worry about the issues on our population and the limited resources, right? Because exactly mentioned in the motion about how this is just a medium-sized town, we believe that it will take no time until the humans finally populate the entire town, and no one has any places to live, right? So in the end of the day, the quality of life decreases simply because there is no enough resources to cater to everyone, and everyone doesn't get the living standards that they need. We think that this is only going to cause suffering in their side of the house, exactly because humans cannot die, they can live forever, right? And humans are going to populate the entire village, and there's not going to be any more place to live, right? And what this is going to do in the future, right? It harms the human existence itself. Once the resources are out, and if we don't find a cure to the curse by then, right? We know that all humans are going to be suffering, right? Even if they can't die, they're going to suffer for eternity, exactly because they cannot die, right? Because the resources are limited. However, the lives of these humans will be until eternity, right? There's no enough resources to cater to all of the people, and the people will only be suffering. Moving on, what is the social stability that we want in our side of the house? We see the urgency for human two stabilities, right? The urgency for human development, and secondly, the urgency to have social harmony. Why? We want to give this urgency for human development because inherently the reason why humans human try to develop everything, all goes back to one reason, right? Prolonging the human life. We have, for example, we have houses to protect us from the rain. We have medicines to help us cure ourselves if we get sick, right? All of this happen because human life is limited and they need to be protected, right? Because the humans in their side of the house have no reason to actually prolong their life because it is unlimited. Then this development wouldn't have happened, right? Humans would not be able to live conveniently, exactly because there is no need for them to prolong their life. We believe that humanity will only stay stagnant and will only stay in that situation forever, right? This is what's so dangerous. Secondly, what is the urgency to have this social harmony? We believe that why humans have a reason to actually treat the way they want to be treated is exactly because they value human life and other people also value human life. We believe that the value of human life is important to make sure to remind people that their life is limited and that they should treat each other nicely, right? And that's why we believe that our side proudly oppose. Thank you.
The Deputy Leader of Opposition spent 7 minutes and 31 seconds. To complete the case of government team, please welcome the government whip, Gustav. To the
Hello.
government whip, time is yours.
Okay. Hello, is this audible?
Yep.
There is no like background sounds, right? Because in my house it's raining.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Give me several seconds. All right. Starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. I think like world right now is really beautiful, right? That is why, even at the expense that we are becoming an immortal being, I think it's pretty fine for us to still live in this world. What kind of beautiful world that I'm trying to say here? My first speaker talk to you that there's already progressivity, for example, for a lot of people in the current status quo that trying to make them very comfortable within their life. For example, people right now is very progressive. That's why they're trying to protecting Black people from racist discriminations. Or perhaps parents right now are very supportive to their children, are trying to give happiness to the fullest extent, for example, because they think that giving happiness means more productivity. Or even that poor people are being catered by the government because they think it is one of their responsibility and etc. I think all of this means that this world will be very beautiful, even at the expense that you are becoming an immortal being. The comparison is, I think this is going to be bad if you're following upside of the house. Why? It's because we think when you are able to be killed, if you are able to opt out from this world and die, I think this is the real problem, right? Why? It's because that people have inherently no incentive to evaluate themselves at the end of the day. For example, you could be a company that have done massive amount of damage to the environment, for example. You will choose to opt out from this world and not trying to fix the problem in the current status quo just by volunteering to the dragon, for example, right? I think that this is the problem that we should trying to stop in the current status quo. I think it's going to be better if you're following outside of the house. When you are not able to be killed, you are still going to be immortal at the end of the day. You will feel double suffering within the punishment system, for example, because you cannot be died and etc. Right? This is why there will be more inherent evaluations for people to evaluate at the end of the day, to fix the other people's problems, to fix your own problems at the end of the day that also going to impact it to other kind of people. This is why world under gov will be so much better. Secondly, talking about the principle, I think like the principle of the government team is already very clear from the very first start, right? We are already talking to you about how that we want to appreciating people's life in the current status quo, like how we already done in the current status quo. We are trying to stop people becoming, trying to stop people to be deaf and etc. to meet death and etc. Right? For example, we give medicine to the people so they are not going to be killed. We think this is the same like this in this motion. We are trying to appreciating people's life are by trying to protecting them and not getting them tortured by the dragon, for example, at the end of the day. We say that this is the best way to appreciating people's life. Not like under op when they just keep trying to say that, oh well, soul of a human being is basically the same as a stone at the end of the day. We do not think like why this is an apple to apple comparison, saying that a rare thing, for example, will be same like what is a life of a human being. We don't think this is how you could value a human being. The values of a human being come because you cannot give a life to another being at the end of the day. You cannot give a life to an animal, for example, for it to live like a human being, right? This is why the life of a human being will be still better under a set of those. But lastly, I do also think when we are able, I do also think that this is also going to be not exclusive at all under the set of the house, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to protecting the values of human, I think that you're going to sacrificing everything, right? I think if you have a gemstone, you will not trying to destroy the gemstone at the end of the day. This is why you should protecting human life and not following upset of the house at the end of the day. Lastly, about the practicalities, why that under a set of the house we can create better evaluation for the people. I think that evaluation come under a set of the house because they cannot be killed. I think that the evaluation come under a set of the house because they have an inherent interest to not being punished for so long at the end of the day in order to evade suffering because of the CGS system, and because they cannot be suicidal and etc. There's no way for you to opt out. I think that this is the moment that you will have more incentive to evaluate all of your problem and fixing all the problem with the people in the current status quo. But lastly, about resources being limited, I think this is not a problem at all because scientists in this context, like, are already very innovative in the very first place. They already know how to kill a dragon. It means they also know how to grow more amount of resources at the end of the day, right? This is why I don't think this is a huge amount of problem. But even if yes, that there will be huge amount of, but even if yes, that this is what happened, I think like it's perfectly fine because at the moment you cannot opt out from this world, it means that you're incentivizing every people to be productive, to work together, because you do not want to for them to be eternally hungry at the end of the day, right? This is why better in following proposition of the house. But all right, let's talk about humanity stagnant, etc. I think a simple clarification by saying that humanity always have interest to improve their life, because they wanted to be comfortable. For example, we create technology because we want to be comfortable within our life, is also going to be enough to tackling this argument, right? This is why it's still better if following proposition. Moving to first class, let's talk about why that this is justifiable or not. Ob said that basically life will not be measured because there is no scarcity and etc. One, I don't think this is how you value life, because in current status quo we have more than 1 billion people even living, and we still giving human rights to the people at the end of the day. I don't think like scarcity can be applied to human being at the end of the day, because people right now knows how to create and how to humanize other people by giving them human rights, for example, right? This is why you cannot give winning to the opposition side of the house at the end of the day. But even but even if yes, I don't think that this is also going to be exclusive. Just like what I'm saying, if you're trying to protect the values, you don't destroy the values by giving them the dragon, but you're trying to protecting them, same like a gemstone that you have. You will not trying to broken them up, but you will trying to keep it as long as possible at the end of the day. But also, this is something funny, right? They thought that, oh yeah, people will do good because they do not want to get to jail and get punishment and then told to the dragon at the end of the day. I think like this is one of the reasons why we should kill the dragon, right? Because it means that people have interest to being immortal. People do not want to die under the shadow of the house. That's why they want to do good at the end of the day. This is why problem is we don't need to kill. I think like we need to kill the dragon, right? Because people inherently want to be immortal and not want to sacrificing themselves at the end of the day. This is why it's better for proposition of the house. Second class, talking about how we can create better environment, right? I think I already bring this rebuttal. They talk to you that there will be evaluation and etc. Which I don't think that's going to be true, because when people do mistakes, I think they are simply just going to opt out from their work, because they can easily just go to punishment. They can easily volunteering themselves to the dragon, for example, right? This is why you don't create evaluation and better environment. So proud to propose.
The government whip spent 7 minutes and 26 seconds. To complete the case of the opposition team, please welcome the opposition whip, Gladys. To the opposition whip, time is yours.
Hello, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay, I apologize for any offensive things that I might say in my speech, and do apologize and understand that it is not my intention. I'm going to try to use panels to be more inclusive. Okay, I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, notice what is so problematic from the governments at the house is the fact that they believe that people have the right to actually value their life, right? The people have the right to actually think whatever they want to do with their life. Exactly under that logic, we believe that the goal of the opposition of the governments at the house will never be achieved. Why so? Exactly because people have the right to choose whatever they want to do, right? They will never want to be productive, right? Because not all people want to be productive. Not all people want to improve their life. People just want to live their life and enjoy every moment, right? They will not try to do anything productive. Instead, they'll just enjoy their time at the most, right? Because they believe that they have endless of time in their situation, right? Because they believe that everything in their side of the house can be done in the future, right? Because there's always an endless of time. It's not 1 minute. It's not 1 minute yet. Exactly because they believe that people have the right to actually value their life. We believe that under that logic, the progressiveness inside of their house will not happen. And even if that happens, it will not be as progressive as in our side of the house. Because in our side of the house, the people actually have the incentive and urgency on the fact that their life is actually limited as comparison of having an infinite time in their side of the house. Now, this is basically how the government perceive the situation, right? They believe that killing is bad itself. We totally agree that killing people is actually a bad thing, but this is under the notion that immortality do not exist. In our side of the house, we believe that since immortality exists, killing is actually not that bad. We have already give true reason to you on why killing is not actually that bad, and in our side of the house, killing them have the reason itself. The first is when the people actually want to sacrifice themselves, which means they have no will to actually live at all. When you actually force them to become immortal, you're actually torturing them and letting them live a life which is boring and static, right? We said that this is very immoral to actually force people to actually do whatever they do not want to do. The second is when they actually do something very punishable, right? In terms of the house, they argue with this on the fact that how people can live forever and you can torture them forever. We said that this is also exclusive in our side of the house, right? Because both sides need to agree on the fact that immortality will still exist on both sides, but the differences between their side of the house and our side of the house is the fact that in our side of the house, there's still a
POI, please.
dying. No, thank you. Now, coming on, the fact that is the fact that they say in their side of the house that they will actually, in our side of the house, people are actually up to die to actually escape from punishment. We said that this is very unlikely, right? Why? Because that means the end to everything, right? That means there's no future anymore, right? Why would they actually choose to die instead of living forever, right? We said this is very illogical from their side of the house. And even if they actually want to up to die, we said that this is not very possible because the only way to die is to actually be eaten by the dragon. And in their side of the house, if they believe that this is true, dragon will not exist in their side of the house. And in our side of the house, even if they want to up to die, for example, being eaten by the dragon, they have to actually go through a process itself, which is the selection of who is going to be sacrificed, which is unlikely to happen. Now, what they want inside of this, what the government want inside of debate is to actually make people improve inside, right? But understand that improvement is actually done under pressure, right? People will only improve under pressure. For example, if you have a choice to actually do something forever, like for example, the teacher gives you a homework today and say that, oh, you don't need to actually give this to the teacher, you don't need to submit this assignment. Will you actually choose to do it now and exactly at this moment and try to do your best? I believe that no, right? People will try to procrastinate or even do their best because not all people actually want to be productive in the first place. Now we fail to see the urgency in their side of the house to actually kill the dragon, because understand that in this context, the dragon itself is a passive threat, right? There's no saying that the dragon will randomly kill people. He will only eat 100 people that is actually chosen, and we have already proven you on 2 metrics on why the people being chosen is actually okay to be killed in the first place. Now, coming on is what they fail to understand inside this debate is the fact that the dragon is actually not a threat in the first place. It is actually a mutually beneficial relationship between the human and the dragon, using the dragon as a deterrence effect and at the same time to maintain the social order. And I'll explain why in my clashes. Now, what they have failed to prove to us is how exactly people are going to cherish something that they have infinitely, right? When you have infinite money, when you have infinite wealth itself, we say that you will never cherish money or wealth because you can just use it. There'll never be an end of it. Just like what will happen in their side of the house, right? Life is infinite. They can do whatever they want. No one will be able to kill them when the dragon is gone itself, right? They can do whatever they want. They can kill people randomly, torture people randomly, rape people randomly, and no one can do anything with them because there's no dragon anymore. But in our side of the house, this will not happen because the dragon still exists. We they have to prove to us on how exactly in their side of the house the criminal justice system will still happen as it's going to be fair. Now, coming to the clashes on this debate, I see that there's 3 clashes on this debate. The first is on who can actually prove whether the existence of dragon breed will actually be bad or good. The only reasoning they give to us is the fact that killing is wrong and it is immoral to do so. But we have already debunked this argument a few times by saying that killing them is actually have a reason. For example, they choose to die in the first place, which means that it is with their consent and their willingness, right? Second is because they do something so horrible that they deserve that, just like how in the status quo, even without immortality, that sentence still happens and it is morally justified. And the second question on this debate is on who can actually have the value of life. They argue that appreciating life is by actually not killing people randomly. And we have already proved to you on how actually this we're not killing randomly. And second of all, we believe that appreciation will happen only if something is precious, right? Why do in status quo people think that life is precious? It is because they believe that life is limited, right? Why is diamond so precious to us? Because it is very rare to find diamond. Because diamond is limited. Why do people cherish their family? It is because the time they have with their family is very limited, right? In their side of the house, this is not going to happen. People is not going to cherish life because for them, this is something infinite. This is something that they can already own in the first place, and it's never going to be taken away. Exactly because there's no threat to their life. Exactly because there's no dragon in their life, which is why we question in their side of the house how exactly people are going to cherish life in the first place, right? Understand that what differentiates in their side of the house and in our side of the house is the fact that torture for life can happen in both sides. But what this difference is in our side of the house, there still exists another layer of punishment, which is death itself, right? Why do people be afraid of death so much? Because that is the end of everything. While torture will still give you a chance to live in the future, but death do not. This is exactly why we believe that that is the biggest deterrence effect, even if you're immortal, right? Because there's a possibility if you're ending your life, and life will still be limited, and this will push people to become more progressive in comparison in their side of the house. Now, coming to the third clashes on this debate is who can create a better society. 2 layers to this. First is who can actually create a better CGS. We have already proved to you on how torture for life will happen in our side of the house and their side of the house. In their side of the house, they argue all about the CGS is going to be good. People is going to be have remorse. We said that this will also happen in our side of the house. One more, we have an exclusivity that they never will and never have if they kill the dragon. It's the fact that people will be afraid of that, and that will still happen in our side of the house. Now, coming to the second layer is the fact that people will be productive, right? In their side of the house, they argue to us on how people will actually cherish their life. They'll actually try to improve their life because it is the tendency of people. Understand the tendency of people is actually to be lazy. They'll never share something that's not limited, and they'll never try to improve themselves if there's never pressure, right? Pressure is something that push you forward and at the same time make you want to be improved, right? Which exists in our side of the house because that could still happen. Which is why we believe that we are actually just and right to actually win this debate, because we have already proved to you and we can actually cherish life and actually make a better CGS and at the same time be productive, which is what they can never achieve in their side of the house, which is why we are so proudly to oppose.
The opposition whip spent 7 minutes and 29 seconds. To close the case of team opposition, please welcome the reply speaker from the opposition side of the House. Grace. Reply speaker, time is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to summarize the debate. We can see that in both sides of the house, there's two classes to this debate, right? Firstly, on which side can create a better society, and two, which side can cater to better to the humans. First clash, we think that in their side of the house, the main argument still comes from the reason that why they should kill the dragon is because it is immoral to kill the humans, right? However, we have already mentioned to you countless times about how there will be system to determine whether or not someone gets fed to the dragon, right? I've already mentioned this before. My first speaker, have also mentioned this as well. Well, we have already mentioned to you several reasons why killing the dragon not killing the dragon is the better choice, right? Because by killing the dragon, right, humans have no fears and death is because death is non-existent, right? The reason why humans right now can live in harmony and humans actually treat each other kindly and have reasons to actually not do bad things is because human life is limited, right? You can only do so much until you die. This is why humans' life will be valid in our side of the house. Well, in our side of the house, because humans' life is limited and human can still die normally, right? The value of life is maintained. Humans have something to fear, right? Because so humans wouldn't treat each other badly. They have no reason to, because people are going to die, and human life is that pressure that death is not worthy, right? Moving on, what maintaining the mortality of humans is going to do, right? We're going to give incentive for humans to treat each other kindly and give development to humanity, right? This is something that their side of the house cannot do, right? Because humans have no incentive, nothing to actually push them to do good to each other when life itself is something that is easily that is existent everywhere and can never end, right? This is what's so distinct in both sides, right? Only our side of the house can actually give you the value of life. They have mentioned before that value of life, exactly because life is valuable, we should not kill it, right? But the value of life itself only comes from the fact that it will run out, right? How people will die. So if they are to say that humans shouldn't die, then humans life is unlimited and it's everywhere, right? There's no reason to cherish that life, which is why we believe that our side win this clash, right? Moving on the second clash, on which side can actually cater better to the humans, right? And I've previously mentioned an argument about how the town has limited resources and has limited place, right, to cater to all of the human, right? However, with their side of the house having unlimited humans, how will the limited resources and this town only able to contain a several number of people will actually be able to cater and give a good life to the people? So in the end of the day, right, even if humans manage to value, even if humans want to value their life, they can't, right? Because there's limited resources and there's no place for them to live. In the end of the day, people's living standard will be decreased, and they can't even feed themselves, can't even live properly, exactly because there is the limited resources in the status quo, and this has also never been rebutted by their side in their side of the house. So on this clash, we believe that we also win, right? Because only our side of the house can actually cater to the humans, right? Because we have limited resources and limited place. Okay, we also have limited humans, right? And we maintain that stability by feeding some humans to the dragon that actually qualify too, right? Which is why we win this clash. Moving on to the urgency, right? Which side is much more urgent? We believe that their side of the house lacks this very much because they seem to think that the dragon is actively trying to kill people and harming the existence of humanity itself. But humans have created a system to determine whether or not someone gets fed to the dragon, right? So this dragon is in itself is not a massive threat. But in our side of the house, we're trying to uphold the value of life, which is extremely important for the reason of social harmony, right? This is a much more urgent matter that we encourage you to listen to. And that's why we believe that our side of the house should win this debate, and we proudly oppose.
The reply speaker from the opposition side of the House spent 4 minutes and 37 seconds. To close the debate, please welcome the reply speaker from the government side of the House, Khansa. To the reply speaker, time is yours.
Okay. Wait. Going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Starting of the idea of how they're saying that good things were only going to be exclusive happen in their side are not are already being rebutted by us, that we are saying that good things is not only driven by the fact that you are going to die, because it's not just the whole thing about hunting by the dead, but it's also about the whole thing about how you want to get a sense of relatability. That's why you actually help other people. You actually prevent the idea of getting in a CGS and getting jailed, things like that. That's why we don't think that this exclusivity of doing a good things is not something that are going to be driven by their side. But even though they were saying that, the punishment on how die, some things are going to be like directly die, meaning that they were going to lose the ability to live again, to lose the ability to actually repair anything. It's actually the best deterrence effect that they could actually give, are somehow a late point in here. This actually coming from the third oppositions. That's why never have been rebutted. And even though and that's why we don't think that these kinds of idea could not be counted. But even when they were also saying that this will create a passive trait, a passive threat, we do think that in any way that is threat. That's why it's cool. That's why there should be the idea of preventing preventing to throwing away life in a suffering, if in a suffering momentum, because somehow because somehow it's actually still not have been actually answered on how it is justified for us to actually giving this kind the idea of suffering at the end of the day, even though they were always saying that this actually given towards people that are in jail, and on how it's actually the towns in itself are going to be limited. We do think that this idea are somehow an assumptive idea that are not even contextualized by the context slide that at the end of the day, right? That's why we don't think that their cases could be counted on. But moving on to my first class, talking about which side that actually could gives a better meaningful of life. We do think that we do think that the moment they were saying that people would losing value because they are immortals, and we don't think that this is true somehow, because life is a precious that is not only just considered to by the dead in itself, because even it's actually going to be better in our side, because somehow we could give them a second chance, we could give them the sense of evaluations, we could give them the idea of how to still repairing their life in any way to get the prosperous levels of life. But secondly, the reasons why billions of people are still appreciating the ideas of how to protecting the human right is because not just because they were going to go to death and things, but because they know that somehow life is a meaningful things, and it's actually because the collective moment that they were actually have, right? That's why we don't think that life could just only could only just be going to say as a labelized as appreciate as a meaningful one the moments they are knowing that they were going to die and things. And moving on to my second class, talking about which side that are actually going to protect resources more, which side that are actually going to give a prosperity more towards its people. We think at the moment they were arguing about how these kinds of resources were going to be lack and things. We do think that this is irrelevant ideas, because somehow the moment you know that you are going to be immortal, then you have this kinds of derivative you have this kinds of driven sense to actually still protecting your resources in any way, to still fulfilling your fundamentals and basic needs at the end of the day, right? Moreover, it's also not exclusive, because in their side they still actually going to produce more children, in which that it's also going to give a more lacking of resources. Therefore, we're probably to oppose.
The reply speaker from the government side of the House spent 4 minutes and 27 seconds. That is the end of 2021 MEDC Grand Final Round. This is a silent round and there will be no verbal adjudications. Thank you.